try to, Be'ezer Hashem, to understand a little bit what's the Mela Seder. And some of the Kudos from the Priyatz Chaim and Shar Kavanas from the Arizal to try to understand what these oases mean in more an avoidant way. There's a lot of big words, a lot of interesting ideas. We have to try to understand this a little more moimic in terms of avoidant. And that the Taka and the Leil said you should be Yitzias Mitzrayim. What does it mean, Taka, you should be Yitzias Mitzrayim? That you experience the Leil said as Yitzias Mitzrayim. So I'm going to try to do a few different things, but it's going to be more with Kavanah, the Kavanas. And of the Kavanah, we can understand a little bit what we're supposed to experience. Pasuk says, "Ayema to Yitzu b'chodesh Aviv." That there's an idea that Pesach, besides that we're experiencing Pesach, that Pesach is inside the day of Yitzias Mitzrayim, but there's the idea of chodesh Aviv. There's the whole ischachus of chodesh itself. There's actually a Ramban, Soif Parshas Boy, that said that Zchiras Yitzias Mitzrayim is also to lisker the Chodesh of Yitzias Mitzrayim. So this is not to remember the Chodesh that went out of Mitzrayim, which none of the Rishonim count as a mitzvah, what the Ramban does. And Ayom Yitzias B'chodesh Aviv, that there's something about the Chodesh. First of all, about the idea of Aviv, and also about the Chodesh itself. In the Hagadah we say Yachon Rosh Chodesh. That there's a Yachon Rosh Chodesh. There's a way to think that maybe we should actually start talking about Yitzias Mitzrayim from the beginning of the month, from the beginning of the Chodesh. Why from the beginning of the Chodesh? From the Tzan Zerov, it says that Aviv is spring. Chodesh Aviv. Pesach is also called Hagadah. And spring, what's spring? Physically, what is spring? Spring means that after there was a cold winter and everything was dying, all the vegetation in the whole world looks like it was in a state of Shina. Sleeping, so there's ischachus, there's a renewal, there's a Smallness, everything starts waking up in the Chodesh Aviv. So the idea of Aviv itself, there's in the Hagadah Shana, there's both a narrative, a story, a sipur that happened at that time, but there's also a seasonal thing, something that happened in terms of the season. If it's Chag Asif, Chag Bikurim, Chag Aviv, which these are seasons. Seasonal thing. Aviv is the beginning of the spring. And then, in Chag Aviv, there's also the idea of Yitzias Mitzrayim. So Chag Pesach is both celebrating, connected to Chag of Aviv, which means that it's spring, and it's also the Yitzias Mitzrayim, and they're not stam connected, they're Chagav. It's not just by mistake connection. That because the idea of Aviv is spring and renewal and ischachus, the same thing also Yitzias Mitzrayim is renewal and ischachus. We'll have to understand a little bit more about it. This is the Nekudah. That the basic idea is that Pesach means that a person is leaving the mitzarim and the gevulim of the winter and the cold and the dark and things that were not working out, and then there's ischachus. And it's also Negea. It's also very important that it's also in the Chad Shana, that a Chodesh Zalachem, Rosh Chodashim, is the first mitzvah in the Torah that Klal Yisrael received in Mitzrayim, because Ein Kol Chodesh Tachas HaShemesh, that there's nothing new under the sun. Pshat is that mitzad the sun, the seasons, everything is lo yishvoisasu. There's spring, and then there's summer, and then there's fall, and then there's winter, and this is a cycle. But the Zohar says Tachas HaLevana yesh, because there's ischachus, because the Levana, the whole idea of the Levana is ischachus, renewal. So Pesach is about a renewal, a ischachus, a spring, something that's coming forth, but not something that was expected almost. So the Mashal, the Torah says, start to talk about Machas HaShabbos, and Chazal said that Machas HaShabbos, that you have to count from after Shabbos, Lacher is actually after Shabbos, is Pesach, that Pesach Nika Shabbos. Why is Pesach Nika Shabbos? Why is Pesach called Shabbos? Because normally, the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov is that Shabbos is Mekadosh V'Kaima. Shabbos is the Kedusha comes on its own, and Yom Tov is Mekadosh Yisrael V'Azmanim, that the Kedusha comes from Klal Yisrael. Pesach has a gather of Shabbos, that just like Shabbos is Mekadosh V'Kaima comes on its own, the same thing also Pesach, that it's a Pasach Hashem, that it's L'maylam and Madrega, it's a Seder, L'maylam and a Seder, it's something that comes out of the ordinary, that it means that it's something that we reach that is not participating. It's not something we work on, it's not that we develop it and all of a sudden we get to this Madrega, but it's something it's given to us, that it's given to us as an autonomous L'maylam. It's like the spring, it's like this Chachas HaLevana, something new. And this is what the Arizal, in the language of the Ari, this is what he calls the godless Rishon. The godless Rishon that comes before the Katnas. It means that normally, the way we develop, the way things develop, is that you first have to go through Katnas, which is a small, constricted, a small place. And if you erech the Katnas, that's how big you can get to the godless. The same thing also, if you erech the godless, that's how small is Katnas. For example, a stone can reach an Evan, cannot reach godless, therefore a stone can die. A vegetable, a tzemeach, the Netziv writes as a Shiur, a tzemeach is a little bit, has more chayes, which means it can reach a more bigger level of godless, but therefore when a tzemeach is cut off, it starts rotting, it starts smelling. And then a chaya has even a more level of chayes, so it's a bigger level of katnas. And an adam has the biggest level of katnas after the chayes leaves the person. This is also the level of tumah, right? If you erech the kedusha, that's the if you erech the tumah. That's adam ki yamas oil, atam kurim adam. That's tafke mitzad the mila. That's the erech the chesaron. That's not the gamlas that you could reach. That's the katnas that it comes from. And it also works not only in terms of the fall, but also works in terms from katnas to godless. The mashal, a shor ben yoyim nikra shor. Right when an animal is born, it's an animal. If you ever see an animal give birth, that a giraffe is born, and 5 minutes later the giraffe is walking around like an adult giraffe. This is a small giraffe, but it's a total giraffe. A human being, when they're born, they're invalids. They can't walk, they can't talk, they can't do anything. And slowly they start crawling, then they start walking. And there's a siashvus, like the Arizal actually talks about this in different madregas in terms of first it's sitting, and then it's standing, and then it's moving. Right? That's the way the human being gets up until they can start walking. Because the gadlus that a person can reach, that's the ferach the katnas. So the chlol, you first go to katnas, then you go to gadlus. On Pesach, there's no katnas. There's katnas, but it's katnas after gadlus rishon. I have to explain what this means, but this is the nekuda. On Pesach, we say that we start off with gadlus. I mentioned this a few days ago. That the idea was that l'chura, you should really start the Seder with the Manishtana, with the Shilas. The cotton should ask the questions, which is cotton is katmas. The Shaila is katmas, the Shaila is golas. You should eat the morer and the karpas and all the bitter things before. Then you should make kiddush. I'm not saying you should make kiddush before, but let's figure this out. And then you should go to all the gadlas. First you come to all the gadlas. The Seder seems to be out of order because first you start kaddish and then you go to eat karpas. Then you do magid and eat morer. So it doesn't make sense because if you reach the gadlas, so why are you going back to katnas? And how come katnas doesn't come before gadlas? So the Arizal says, because b'etzem you're really starting straight from gadlas. You start kaddish, you're starting straight from gadlas. And then, from the gadlus rishon, you go backwards, or if you get the gadlus sheni, you're going to go back, and then you're going to go to the second madrigal, the higher gadlus. So there's different nekudas that we can talk about. We'll talk about one nekuda about the Daled Koises, and we'll see how this is B'chlal talked about. So the Arizal writes that Schola, the whole Yiddish and Hebrew starts off, the Arizal says, starts off with the Kuf Lamed Shana, that Adam was Poirish Ishtay, Chava. I think Gemara says in Erevin that there was an idea of Zerah Matol, and it was created Sheda Beruchim. What shot is the creation of Sheda Beruchim? That Sheda means, a shed is Nivra Ben Hashmashis, it means that it's not a complete thing. Which means when the Mashpia and the Makabel are not aligned, they're not in order, and the Mashpia gives, and the Makabel is not receiving the Ashpah, so then it's, instead of creating the Shamas, it's creating Sheda Beruchim. Incomplete. And Oisis Pshutas, it means incomplete energy, incomplete koiches that are revealed into this world. So there's Kuf Lamed Shana that Adam was Poirish Mishtoi, and he was Moitze Keri. This is the Arizal starts in Priyatz Chaim, it's also in Shar Kavalas, that Soy Netzutzim Shal Kriyai Shahitzim Adam Rish Bali Yisrael Kuf Lamed Shana. These Netzutzim were first revealed in the Dor HaMabul. But because the Dor HaMabul was Mashchizar Malaretz, like it says, Kirabas Ra Adam Mamash Kisoy Keri Nikar Ra, that it says they were Mashchizar, so they didn't do a tikkun for this. So then it came to the Dor HaFlaga, and then it came into the Dor HaMidbar for Kuf Lamed Shana. And Kuf Lamed Shana for 130 years. This is 130 years before Moshe Rabbeinu was born. The Yechevet, the Moshe Rabbeinu was noiled by Smallness Kolavayis Oira, and it was Toiv, Tuv Yashmoi, it was Toiv. Toiv is contrast to the idea of Ra, which is Ra has to carry. And Moshe starts to do a tikkun for the Kuf Lamed Shana because Yechevet and Amor will come together in a healthy, in a positive way. And the creation through this chibur was Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu was Bechinas Das. I'm giving this oasis, I want to try to understand. Moshe was Bechinas Das. And when Das is not mispashet, it gets stuck. This is Lashon Ari, it gets stuck in the oirif, in par. So par is Lashon oirif. So that's the das that's not developed. The Maram Panu writes that Melech Mitzrayim with the four oases of par is gematria das. So it's negative das. The das is not das mispashet. And when this happens, this is this oasis. When this happens, So he writes this Shar Kavonas. Ki yoyis lo'vay lachizach tzon be'ezes v'chas shalom machus ma'isa t'chtonim aroim hina misalak ha-shefer min ha-mokum ha'hu k'dei shlo yetz ha-shefer ram misham al-chitzonim. And therefore, bechinas the madrega of Zah returns into Ibur Aleph. Returns back into its original place, into Ema, into Bina. And that's because of that. So there's a Helam of Das. There's no Moichin. And Yitzias Mitzrayim, through the Leila Seder, is where we're going to draw down Moichin into Zah.
What is it?
I'll explain. The Zah? What's Zah? Huh? No, Zah. Zah. Zah, the Arizal writes, is also a code word. It's a remez for two things. Zah Ampin is also Knesset Yisrael, is Klal Yisrael. Zah Ampin is also is Tiferes. Not Knesset Yisrael. Bnei Yisrael. Yisrael is Nikkud Yisrael. Yisrael is Tiferes. That's what it says in Tikkun Zohar. The Tikkun Zohar says Adam Rishon is Nikkud Tiferes, and Tiferes is Tiferes Adam, and Tiferes Ben Adam. That's Adam. And Zor Ampin is also a code word because Tiferes is also Shem Havaya. Yudke Vavke. That's why Pyre says that Mia Havaya Shashem Bukoili. He doesn't say that Havaya doesn't exist. He says because now Bechinas Havaya, the Zor Ampin is a Bechin of Ibur. So therefore, there's no Gila of Shem Havaya. And since there's no Gila of Shem Havaya, I don't have to be afraid of this Shem Havaya. Not that I don't know Shem Havaya. The Shem Havaya is now Bechin Simon. What do we do with the Dalek Koisis? I want you to try to understand this experientially, like Tachlis, not Afshat and Dikir Koisis, to understand what this means. But first, let's get to the Lysias. That what do we do through the Dalet Koises? So through the Dalet Koises, we bring down two things. The matzahs, which we're not going to talk about, the matzahs is Moichid Abba, which is godless shady. The yain, the Dalet Koises, is Moichin de Ema, which is godless Rishon. And then the highest level of godless is godless Shlishi, is when you're Mamshech Moich from Keser. And in the Dalet Koises, which you're Mamshech, the Oyer from Ema, which means you're Mamshech Moichin in Zoh. And this is not Afshat What is Mamshech? What does it mean to be Mamshech Moichin? Moichin is Clarkite, is understanding, is the aver of Yisoid becomes not mispashet when there's ein kisha elul das. So when there's an absence of das, there's no ashpa properly, or if there's ashpa, the ashpa is not in the proper makabel, so it creates sheda meruchim. And when you're mamshech moichin, proper moichin, into Zor Ampin, then it could be Zor Ampin Nimshach into Malchus in a way that's perfected. Which means, what does it mean in Oisis? Very, very simple Oisis. If Zor Ampin is the Neshama, or the Yisrael, it means that our reality, who we are as people, is Yidden. If we don't have the proper Moichin, if our Das is Nela, and it's not Mispasha, so then there's a ibur, there's a retracting, there's a gullus of our internal reality, and therefore we're not mispashet in the physical world of Malchus in the proper way, which means we don't become revealed of who we're supposed to be properly. That's what gullus is. What's gullus? In terms of mamash, to understand this mamash like in a very tachlisik oifen, gullus is, for example, I'll give you a mamash a very simple example. If you go to a chasana, and you don't know anybody, and you feel out of place, it's a shtickle gullus. Why? Because your Zor Ampin is now not mispashet into the smalchus. You can't be mispashet. You don't know where to find yourself. You don't know the people. You don't feel comfortable, and you're out of place. You're displaced. Gullus is when there's no gula. It's not open. when the Zohar Amphimid is not mispashed into Malchus in the correct way, which means if you're not mispashed into the scroll in the correct way, that's Golas.
He doesn't reveal himself.
You're not revealing yourself in a proper way. You're not revealing yourself into the Malchus in a proper way. So if you're in Golas, if the Shem Havaya, huh?
The Chasman is the Malchus?
No, Chassan is any gimel, wherever you are. That's the Malchus. The Malchus is the vessel, is the kli.
There's no flow.
When there's no flow, then you're not being mispasha. That's the Golos. So the Nekuda is that matzah. We're going to draw down moichin from Abba, which we're not going to talk about. But let's talk about a little bit more the idea of mispashet to draw down the moichin of Ema, the moichin of Bina, which is like a smaller gadlus. And what does this mean? Tachlis, what does this oisis mean? You can have moichin de Ema and you can have moichin de Abba. Moichin de Ema means you understand what to do. Moichin de Abba means it's clear to you, it's like Chochmah, it's Riyah. The difference between Chochmah Bina is Riyah and Shmiya. Shmiya is I know what I have to do now. I know the way I have to mispashet now, and my moichin is now in a proper line with my Zohar, and now I'm mispashet into the Malchus. But then there's it's a yeshestika, it's a hergishtika thing. That's why it's through yayin. That's why the koises is through yayin. The dollar koises is yayin. It's hergish. Chochmah is bittul. Bittul, not bittul like that you don't exist. Okay, bittul means that you're expressing something that's beyond you. There's sometimes you know that you have to be in this place, you have to do this thing because you have a certain hergish, there's a certain hargasha, there's a certain feeling, and it's a seichel dik hargasha. That I feel this is the right place for me to be. And there's some times that you know that you're in a certain place. I know I have to be. It's not even a shayla. Like on the shayla, there's like I see it. This is the way it has to be. So this is the difference between the gili of moiched Abba versus moiched Ima. That's why matzah is called michel de nusa. There's a klarkeit of amunah. It's a klarkeit of chachma. It's klar. Amunah is klarkeit. It's dveikus. It's clear. I have to be. I have to do this. So I'm not in goals. I see exactly how am I supposed to be, how am I supposed to bring this down. Moichin de Ima, which is in the Dalal Koises. Moichin de Ima is already the Hergish. The Seichel Dike Hergish, it's more in the Bina. In the Moichin de Ima. In the Moichin de Ima, there's 4 shlavim, and this is why there's 4 koises. This is the way that the Arizal writes. That the 4 shlavim of the 4 koises is that the kois rishon you're drawing down from chachma of bina of moiched deima. In the kois sheni you're drawing down bina from moiched deima, and in the 3rd cup in the kois gimel you're drawing down from now das. Now das, if you learn a little bit Kabbalah even, or if you looked at your tefillin, you see that on one side of tefillin there's a shin with 3 rashim, and there's one side of shin with 4 rashim. Why? Because the klolas is chachma bina das, so there's 3 rashim. But das, what is das? Das, there's 2 levels of das. The level of das, the way it's in Bisharsha, in Seichel, is that das, main das havdalah minayin, which means das means when you take information, and now you internalize it, and because of that, you're making a choice. So das is the place of our choices, where we make distinctions. I say this, because I know this, and I know that, I can internalize it, it's a mafteach, and it gives me an opening that I can make a choice of how am I going to live my life. This is the das, the way it's in the Rosh.
It's where das expresses itself.
It's a chibur, you have all the other chava. So the das, in das itself, there's das of chesed, and das of gura. That's the 2 rashim of the shin, which means I can have das and make a choice. Every choice that I make can either be this way or this way. That's it. Every choice is either chesed and gvura. And then there's variations of chesed and gvura. It could be a teferes, which is a mixture of chesed and gvura. But every movement that I do, either I'm going in or going out. Either I'm expressing myself or I'm moving inwards. Chesed is that I'm expressing, and gvura is that I'm moving inwards. Yeah? Is it extroverting or introverting?
Connected or rejected.
Connected or rejected. That's my choice that I'm making. So, das, the Arizal says this is the reason why you're not allowed to be mafsik, you're not allowed to drink between the kos gimel and kos dalid, is because the etzem gimel and dalid are really part of the same kos. One is das of chesed, and one is das of gvura. So now we're starting to a little bit understand. I can't say we have a full Havana in this idea. We're trying to a little bit understand that what is this idea of drinking the koises, the dollar koises. Again, because in the idea of goats, the idea of golus aprati, and we're talking about maybe gula pratis. Gol yisol is gula pratis, not gula klolis. Korban afshi gula. You're talking about a gula pratis, and chayvat on liris has to be a person has to experience Yitzis Mitzrayim on a level of a gula pratis as well, a personal gula. That there's when we don't have emunah, and we don't have moichem, and we don't have a gilui of direction. Where are we supposed to be? How are we supposed to do it? And we don't even have a gilui of the moichem of keser, which is the ratzon to do it. Then we're completely lost. And then we're in Golos. Comes Yitzias Mitzrayim. And David says, Alol Avodah Zarah, Alol Avodah Zarah. And generally, the narrative, the story is that first you have to start from Katnas, and then you're going to get to Gadlus. But comes the night of Yitzias Mitzrayim, David says that Pasach Hashem is going to be a psicha, is going to be L'mayla, we did the Vagbala, it's going to be beyond the normal order, where it's going to be, the Maral calls a Seder Nisi, to be a miraculous type of Seder. Normally the order is in order, and here we're going to do the order opposite of order. And the Eibush is going to take us out from a state that we're stuck, and we're not certain, and we're not clear, and it's going to give us Clarkite. That's going to be the first Nakuda of Kaddish, the first Bracha, and the first Kois. And in every Kois that we're doing, we have to Muchavan. This is the Kavona. So not the Muchavan, okay, you want to Muchavan also the Kavona Sari on a abstract level, but that's really you have to think about also that Chayavon Liris, you have to understand this, how this is eternal. What does this mean? It means that the Eibush is giving you on this night a matana, a gift. That first you're going to get moichin the ema of chachma, and then you get moichin the ema of bina, and then you get a moichin the ema of das of chesed, and then you get a das of gvura. Now, this is all the apparent, the shitchistic structure of this event. But the Fizeh, according to this, it appears that the whole movement, the whole mahalach of the Seder is that you're going l'maylo l'mata. You're starting from Chachma, then you go to Bina, then you go to Chesed, then you go to Gvura, or Chesed and Gvura. So you're going down. You're going from the Maylo l'mata. But then there's also another mahalach, which is also brought down in Smallness, where the whole, and this is also pshat, maybe this is even literally pshat in the pasuk, Yitzesi, Yitzalti, Galti, Lakachti, that it gets deeper and deeper. Not only Yitzesi, Yitzalti, Lakachti, but also Lakachti, Loshen Lekuchen. That's that it's a Loshen of Kicha, that it's Kedushin, right? You know what it says? The Yerushalmi says that a person that eats matzah koydem Erev Pesach, what's Abshat is, and then the Shmuel Alekim knows the Rishonim right, that you say the Sheva brachas until you finally eat the matzah. So Abshat is you're moving higher and higher and higher. The Gra writes also that the first kois is Olam Hazeh, the second kois is Yemais HaMashiach, the third kois is Tchias HaMeisim, then the fourth kois is Olam Haba. So you're moving higher and higher. So are you moving higher and higher or lower and lower? And the answer is that the higher and the lower, it's not a steer, it's not two different things. One is Oirech and one is Beroichev. In the Oirech, in the length of things, like in the linear way of looking at it, so you're moving up. You're moving up. But from the Roichev, as you're moving up, you're also more mispashet. So imagine it's like this. You're going like this, and then you're getting this, but that becomes this, and that becomes that, and that becomes that. So as you're going through the Seder, it says a Chassidish Svarim L'Mashal that that the 4 koises correspond also. The first one is Maisa, so you make Kiddush. The second cup is Dibur, that's where you say Magid. The third cup is Machshava, that's where you have all the kavanas of the matzah and the marble, matzah yotzas, it's the idea of kavana. And then finally, it's here or dveikus is halal, so you're getting higher. So what it means is that it's including more. It's not only here, but it's moving more and more and more until it also includes chitzoni sales. It includes even the meal, even the sudas yamtiv becomes nichel in kedusha.
How do you interpret this with chachma bina?
Now we're excited, but we have to understand this. There's a medrash that's also brought down in the Yishalmei Pesachim that says that the dollar koises correspond to the dollar Goliath. The Shem Shmuel brings it down. The Maral brings it down. So what is it? Let's try to understand this a little bit in our own life. So there's 4 Goliaths. There's 4 general big Goliaths. There's the Golus of Bavel, which is the Churban Bayis Rishon, Babylonian exile. Then there's the Golus Modai, which is the story of Purim, Persian exile. Then there's the Golus Yavan, which is the Greek exile, the story of Hanukkah. And then there's a 4th Golus, which is Golus Edom, which is the Roman Golus exile, which is the destruction of Churban Bayis Sheni. These 4 things represent the nefesh, the guf, the nefesh, the seichel, and hakol. Nun gimel heishim. It's also the 4 oises of the cradle.
What's the 4th last one?
Hakol, everything.
Much.
What? Neis gadol hayasham. The 4 oises in the cradle. The sihul shalosh von goyshim, the same letters. The gimel is guf, seichel, nefesh, and hakol. So these correspond to these four empires, these 4 exiles. And the story, almost the story of Hanukkah is the story of the guf. I'm sorry, the story of Hanukkah is the story of the seichel, the Yevonu, the story of the Greeks. It was an exile. It was a fight against the Klal Yisrael and seichel. The story of the Persian. The story of Purim is against the Gufu, against the body of the Yid. And the story of Bavel, the Babylonian exile, is the Nefesh of Israeli, the Nefesh of the Yid. And the story of Rome is Akol. Now let me try to explain this in very oisis pshuta, so that we can try to translate this in terms of our own avodah throughout the Seder. When Klal Yisrael, when there was the first Churban Bayis Rishon, and Klal Yisrael went out of Mitzrayim and made us, and they were sovereign people, and they created a nation for themselves, and they lived in the Beis HaMikdash. And then Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. What was really the biggest nefila, the biggest downfall for the people was, it was a nafshestika, it was a nafshestika fall. Why was it a nafshestika fall? Because at this point in time, Klal Yisrael imagined, yes, the Nevi'im, it was Yirmiyah, and other Nevi'im were saying already that there's going to be a Churban, but they never imagined it will actually be a Churban. They never imagined this is actually really going to happen. They thought that this is the way we're going to be. We moved out of Mitzrayim, we came to Yisrael, this is what we're going to be. Akiyav Shila, this is the way it's going to be. So the nefesh of Klal Yisrael was damaged, was hurt. The story of Purim was the story of the guf of Klal Yisrael wasn't a threat. The story of Hanukkah was that the seichel of Klal Yisrael, the moich of Klal Yisrael was a threat. And the story of Rome, which is the Golus that we're now, is a general. It's the Gemara says that it's almost shvela, that Rome is almost shvela, that it doesn't have its own language, doesn't have its own culture. Rome is basically a hodgepodge, basically a tishtus of every type of culture. And this is what we're living. This is the culture in America. In Avodah, I think it works very well, and I think this is in terms of what we think about when we go through the Seder, because we're trying to bring down Moichin, and Moichin is Klarkeit. And it's Moichin the Ema, we're trying to bring down Moichin Chachma, we're trying to bring Bina and Das, which really means that we're trying to guide, that we're trying to go through a process that, in a way, we don't have to actually do anything because it's gifted to us. It's matana. It's Shabbos. It's Makacha V'Kayim. It comes on its own. But when a person's b'chavan, a person has intention, they can b'chavan, they can think about their own life. And this is very important that when we go through the Seder, we should think about things in our own life, and how does these things, these ruchnistic things actually relate to our own life? What does this negate to us? Personally, in our own golas. So I think there are four types of golas that a person has, just like the holistic form about the golas. There's 4 types of golas. There's 4 types of mitzarim. Mitzrayim, there's a mitzvah rule. The 4 things that are constricting. There's a type of golas. That's the golas of the guf. What's the golas of the guf? The golas of the guf says, it's the golas of the body. The golas of the body says, I would love to do something. I'm tired. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm falling asleep. I would really like to be involved in the shiur, but it's very hard. And I'm tired. I had a whole day. And I have no gashmistic koiches. I don't have enough strength to do this physically. I would love to go to Shas every year, but when am I going to find the physical koiches to do this? Or I'd like to daven b'avoida for 3 hours, but I can't have this situation. It's an excuse of the body. The excuse that we make for the body can't get there, and our physical koiches don't give it to us. And the truth is, it's just an excuse. It's just its own fantasy. It's its own mitzarim. Because of harayah, sometimes when a person is in a different situation, and they're pushed to be up for 2-3 days in a row, all of a sudden, they manage. And they don't fall apart, and the fingers don't start falling off their hands. Everything's fine, and you can manage. Because we live very little small lives, very, let's say, pathetic lives. And we have, I'm just a little musa, but we have very small little lives, and everyone has to go to sleep exactly the same time, and the right pillow, and everything has to be exactly in order, and the noise, and the light, and everything has to be exactly. And if chas v'shalom, one thing is not, your whole life is off kilter, your whole life is falling apart. And then one day you realize that if you don't have this, and you don't have that, you'll also survive. This is the golas of the guf. This is the first kois. So to bring moichin, to bring klarkeit, to bring understanding and awareness, is that the first kois, the kois rishon that we make kiddush on, it's to counter the golas of the guf. Why is it the counter the golas of the guf? Because the first thing that you have to do in life is you have to show up.
You have to
show up. You have to show up. Are you going to come? You're going to fall asleep? Show up. Don't say it's already 10 o'clock. I can't leave. Show up. If you ever want to achieve something in this world, you have to show up. You have to push your body, push yourself. Push yourself to show up. I could say this definitely for people that work very hard at every Yom Tov, and everyone does in their own way. Some people go from the Messiah of Rabbi Akiva, that the only time he used to go from the Beis Medrash, he used to go out of Pesach, and he used to come home to put his children to sleep. Somehow fathers know how to put their children to sleep during the day. Mothers don't know how to do this, or fathers pretend that they're the only ones who know how to do this, so they have to have some shlaf before the Seder. Akitzer, maybe that's your avoid the curtain Seder, to go to sleep. But the point is, when it comes to the Seder, you have to show up. That's the first thing. So the Arizal is talking about this on Afshatis Goif in a very Afshatic way, about drawing down Moichin, the Emo of this. But it's also God's Pashat. What does it mean? It means to have the Clarkart, to have the Seichel. Maybe just giving you the Seichel. I think he's giving you Matan. I think he's giving you a gift. Tonight, just show up. Just be present. Just come. Sit by the Seder. Come. You're tired. Just be there. Kaddish. You stand up and be present. I'm ready. Hineni. This is the first love. This is the first love. Koi Sheni.
Why is that Chachma?
What?
Why is that Chachma?
I didn't say it's Chachma. I'm saying it's corresponding to Chachma. The Arizal says Chacham. It's saying that the shlovim is going to go more b'oimek hanefesh adam. So in the Arizal we said is l'mayla l'mata. But according to the Abarbanel and according to the Gra, according to the others, we're working l'mata l'mayla. So we're saying that l'mayla l'mata is actually the same thing. Pshat is at first you're going from the easier things to the harder things. Following? So for Chachma, just don't use Chachma as Chachma. Use Chachma as the most abstract to more practical to more practical. You understand what I'm saying? That from the Afshatit to more the practical.
It's like abstract.
Abstract is a Agitragen. Mufshadik. The second, the Koi Sheni. The Koi Sheni corresponds to the Golus of the Nefesh. The Golus of Nefesh is like an emotional tiredness. It could be you don't feel inspired. You're not feeling it. Sometimes you daven and it feels, I'm okay to snish. Sometimes the heart is not open. The heart is closed. There's a golus of the heart. There's a golus of the heart. What's the antidote? What's the tikkun? What's the remedy?
It's numb, yeah?
It's numb. Numb. What do you do with a numb heart? So the Torah says what you have to do with a numb heart. The Torah says the second cause is you have to do Sipri Yitzis Mitzrayim. Sipri Yitzis Mitzrayim means you have to awaken yourself through stories.
Get inspired.
Get inspired. Tell stories. Sipurim Maises. Sipurim Maises. Amchal writes that if you need to be inspired, you should say Sipurim Maises. It's actually Shara Tshuva. Ben Yoneh writes this. I mean, sometimes you have time, but I think it's also another Nakuda is.
That's why we say Moshe Shabbos.
To say Sipurim, yeah. But I think it's also another Nakuda is. It's Hagadah l'bincha, because if you can see the world through the eyes of your child, you'll be inspired. The problem is, if you can see the world, if you can be connected to the world through the eyes of your child. You ever took your child to a zoo? I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I'm all many people. I think you used to go to the zoo. Today people say, you ever went with your child to the zoo? So you come to an elephant and you're like, okay, an elephant, live with an elephant. And your child's like, an elephant. But sometimes, I want to tell you, once I took this is Mamish going back about 18 years ago, 17 years ago. We took my oldest daughter, took her to the zoo. Took her to the zoo, she came home. We're living in an apartment building. And I hear she's telling a Hagadah, a little girl, that she went today and she was in a zoo and she saw animals. She saw an elephant and a lion. And the other little girl said, it's amazing. And today I didn't go to the zoo, but today I was in my house and I also saw animals. I saw a mouse, I saw a cockroach. And the girl said it with such spileless that seeing the cockroach and the mouse was as spileless as if they saw an elephant. But yes, maybe people get to do it when they see a mouse and a cockroach. but elephants zichanish. If you see the elephant in your house, there's love. But the
aquariums full of animals.
Not for sure. The idea is Happenus Spilus is the idea is to be mishtoimim, to look through the eyes of a child. But you look at it, you look at the Lamata Saper as Mincha, there's a level of like, I'm telling stories, but I also want to see if I can tell the story the way my child says a story. If I can tell my story, if I can just, for one night, it says V'kana ben shoyel man shtana. There's a lotion over there from Nari. So the Rashab actually says V'kana ben shoyel man. Rashab writes V'kana ben shoyel. The shoyel is Shila. The ben is Bnei Yisrael. V'kana ben shoyel ma. The shoyel is ma. What's ma? Ma is What's what? What's ma? Ma is the wonder. That the Bechina Adam is Gimatiyah ma. The Behema is ba ma. Behema is, the Maral writes, the Behema is what it is. Ba ma, whatever it is, Behema is what it is. What's a Adam? Adam is niver b'tzalmenu kidmusenu f'loshen demus and dimyon and ischatches. Adam can ask the shaila of ma. Adam has to ask the question of what. The Chayzer was once walking with a group of Yidden, and he saw they were playing checkers on 13th Avenue. And then it was Leipzig, whatever it was. And he said that these Yidden, he told the Smallness, says these Jews are no longer alive. Yes, they're no longer alive. The Chayzer said because they stopped asking questions. They didn't say ma. So one Talmidim turned to the Chayzer a few minutes later and said, Rabbi, am I alive? He said, yeah, you just asked the question. So you just have to ask the question.
Status quo.
Yeah, you can't be stuck. Shoyel ma, ask what, wonder, be in the state of a child. A tikkun is lashon tinok. That's there, or else it's nituk, or else you cut off. This is the bechina of the second thing of the second cost, which is to bring out that idea of the ma, the wonder, the question. And this is a tikkun for the nefesh. It's a golus.
It's chachos.
It's chachos on an emotional level, on a midas level. That you're, that's the idea that the emotions are open and awake and alive. That's the bechina of the second cause. Again, so you join the moichin into also to a more difficult place to bring moichin. The moichin is now also mispashed, is revealed itself even in your midas, not only your action, not only your mindset, but also your midas.
And on a physical level, like when you actually drink the kos, you get like tipsy, like is that?
That's why that's good. Yeah, it's actually that's
how you tap into.
Yeah, that's the kavanah. No, we get it. The halal mitzvah. That's the kavanah. No, it's not the kavanah. Then you go to the third cause. The third cause corresponds to moichin. So it's more mispashet than chesed, and it's already more mispashet into the higher qualities. So I'm saying it's lower and higher because it's more edel. It's harder to work on this klipa, on this golus. This is the golus hamoichin. The golus hamoichin is also something we all suffer from. Some people more, some people less. It's not that the midas are not awakened. It's that these things. This is not. I can't understand these things. I'm not in that madrega. This is for tzaddikim. This is a mol. This is not for me. This is not my moichin cuts. My seichel cuts at this point. I can't have experience in this moichin. So the third cause. It's very mispashet also into the moichin. That's what all the mitzvahs ayoim, and all the kavanah. Really, you have to have kavanah, matzah, mor, and meirach, and all the kavanah is in the third cause. The fourth cause is really the problem with our generation. Our generation, with Bechlolis, this is the problem.
What? You have
to have kavanah. You need matzah. What do you need moichin? You need to have kavanah. Huh? All the mitzvahs of the Eraisa, all the main mitzvahs in the Torah, that Birchas Hamazon is mitzvah in the Torah, and matzah is mitzvah in the Torah, those mitzvahs in the Torah is in that place. So then, and mitzvah sichum kavanah. This is the kavanah. Kavanah calls kavanah, but you need some type of kavanah. More also has to do with proteus, but I don't. In the Arizal, more specifically has to do with sharfkeit. It has to do with seichel.
Leah.
Huh? with Leah. Yeah, but it has to do with like a So, but that machshava. Correct. It's like you eat sharp things. Your mind is sharp. It's a mashal. That's the idea of sharpness.
That's the reason man has zwei Moves. Eins ist scharf and eins ist bitter.
Das ist anders. Okay. The Scharfkeit, beside the Scharfkeit. This is Meroidim Taka, that the Lashon Pasuk is Meroidim, that you have to have two Mars. It's two Mars, it's just talking about that. But the fourth cause is Akol. This goes back to your thing. What's Akol? Akol is, it's this type of golas that we live in this generation, which I think everyone can relate to. It's not only that we're physically tired, it's not like emotionally we have koiches, it's not only we can't think about it, it's a general, what is called existential, but I can't translate this. But it's a hakol, like apathy. You know what apathy is? No, it's more than that. It's more like, you speak today to people, all information is available.
Tired of everything.
People are just tired. There's nothing inspiring, nothing. It's not, there's a general apathy. You can't say it's one specific thing. The general, what's the word for apathy in Yiddish? There's a kalkite, but not. Yeah, but it's even less than kalkite. It's like a kalkite to kalkite. It's like nothing. Yeah, that's like Shabbos, but in a bad way. Lo manyan. It's not even a lo manyan. I'll do it today. You tell a person, you know, it used to be you tell a person to put on tefillin. It used to be they would fight with you. Today, you want to? I can't put on tefillin. It doesn't matter. Nothing. It's a milus and moya. I can put on tefillin. I can eat pseitas. I can do anything the same. Nothing doesn't matter. I'm completely apathetic. What's the nekuda?
In the Hebrew, it's menutak.
Menutak, baby. It's like a level of coil. It's really the clip of America. The America. This is the real clip. It's not America. It doesn't have sichlim. It's not. It's like shoma, but not in a particular way. It's not just what is America? What's America? America doesn't have. There's no law.
The guys around in a taxi in Manhattan versus in Islam. Islam, da du habe Kier, ja du Gott, nicht du Gott, ja Frieden, nicht Frieden. In Amerika ist nicht geworden. Give me $2 na raus. Right?
That's the culture. That's the culture. It's very. And yeah, I believe in God. I don't believe I do that. Doesn't matter. My mind will matter.
That's also what's been keeping us alive past 50-year mark.
Yeah, but how do we break this clip of Akol, this clip of Rome? The clip of Rome is hollow. Hollow very dark.
This is Rome. This is America.
Yeah, but Rome is anders. No?
In Paris.
Yeah, but we're talking about unser Rome. Unser Rome. If you're in Paris, we're talking about Paris. Unser Rome. How do we break this clip up? Yeah, das was ein scharfen Remy jetzt. Pashas went to America.
Ja.
America.
The Malbim schreibt das Adam, meint man den Nutzer.
Ja, bekannt, ja, so steht. What is this? How do you get over this apathy? This is where Holy Arizal comes in. That's the fourth cup. What's Holy? Holy Arizal means that a person's l'shabeach starts giving gratitude and haidah for small things. If you're so apathetic, you should start being moidim. You should start giving haidah for the very small things. The fact that you can stand physically, standing up, it's a
Don't take it for granted.
Don't take anything for granted. And every single prat in your life.
Aber du suchst jeden Tag, oder
But what's the hollow? The hollow, that awareness, that fourth cup is that you're giving shavach v'hoidah for every single part of my life. The fact that I can stand, the fact that I can talk, the fact that I have eyes, the fact that I have a nose, every single part of my life, I have halal v'hoidah. The halal v'hoidah is the peak of the geula, of the pratistic geula that a person has throughout the whole shoshelis of the whole seder, is to reach the madrega of nirtza. Because if you look at the whole seder, the seder of kadesh urchatz, but yeah, wait a second, let me say what this is. That kadesh urchatz karpas. You look at all the tzedarim, everything but etzem. There's a few interesting nekudas. The market for this is the machzor vitri, or from the Balai places, that there are 15 madregas. That one thing is that if you notice that each of the 14 before the 15 is actually a pu'ula that you have to do. Kadesh, urchatz, karpas. You're doing something that has a. What's nirtza? What do you do by nirtza? Nirtza actually there's nothing to do. Nirtza means that it's accepted. It's misratza.
mental thing.
Huh?
You have
So what does it mean? So let's say another nakuda is that all the simonim have two syllables, which is interesting because really kadesh urchatz, all the mufarshim on the Hagadah ask the Shaila, why is it urchatz? Why with a vav? It's just kadesh rachatz magid yachz. Why urchatz? Okay, so pshat nigla maybe because the kadesh is mekusha to the urchatz and you have to do it right away. Should be a hefsek, etc. But it's still puzzling. And one other way to look at it is it has to be two shlavim. Why? Because the whole seder is made up of afachim. The whole nekuda of the seder is afachim. There's a cotton and there's a gadol. There's a child, there's an adult. There's a shaila and there's a teretz. There's a memory of chayers and there's a memory of meriras. Everything is afachim. Everything is two and dual. Everything has its opposite. There's laila and there's yom, laila and yom. Then, in this in this mahalach of Piruv, where one is the opposite of the other, the etzem you can never get out of your golus in this mahalach. Because if one is opposite the other, then the tomorrow will bring you the opposite of that. If my geula is only corresponding to my golus, or if my answer is only corresponding to the question that I have, tomorrow I'll have a higher question, and then they'll have an answer, then I'll have a higher question. If I'm working in duality, by definition, inherently within duality is always its opposite. So it's afachim. So even though I reach a shtickle geula, I actually don't reach anything because it's just momentarily. Because tomorrow I'm going to have the same shadow. I'm going to go back. So that's why if you look through the whole seder, the whole Hagadah, on one hand, the whole Hagadah is based on peers, right? On peers, on zivugim. There's peers. The child has a shaila, and the avodim ayinu l'par b'tzayim, and then v'yitziyanu. And the tchila oivim avodah zarah v'seinu v'achshei kivarnu l'makim. There's back and forth, and everything you ask is a shaila and teretz. Pesach was one shulma, Hashem shulma b'sei k'sal hachnitz. Why do you ask the shaila and the teretz? Why don't you just say straight? Pesach shulma oichlu v'shum shulma b'sei k'sal. Because everything in the Hagadah, in the whole mahalach of the Hagadah, the whole mahalach of Seder, is peers. The question that we've answered, they answer the question. This is the way it's the mahalach. But then there's a hidden madrega, which is the madrega of the fifth nekuda, which is the Yiddish and Hebrew. Which Yiddish and Hebrew is the madrega that's beyond the duality, beyond the separation. It's like the kois chamishi, which is the hidden kois shel lion lavi. There's something that's nitzos of the fifth element. Nirtze is bedoimet to this idea. When you go into the seder, you're saying Kaddish Urchatz Karpas Yach, it's going back and forth, and question and answer, and you're going through mirrors, and you're going through Gula, and you're feeling a little bit pain, you're feeling a little bit free, and you're going back and forth on this whole mahalach. At the peak of the story of the Seder night, the peak, you look also at the Kaira. In the Kaira, you create Seder Shtalshalos. You create the entire structure of Seder Shtalshalos. Yeah? So you take the three matzahs correspond to Chachmim Das. Then you take the 6 items on the things correspond to Chesed Gvur Tiferes, and that's a Holy Yisod. Yeah? Everyone knows this, Holy Arizal. Then the Kaira itself is Malchus, so you create the whole structure. How does your Kaira look by Nirtza? Zvorf. So what's the Nekuda? This is bad. I think there's a oimik in this Nekuda. You're starting off with a Seder. And you're saying, I'm going from one mahalach to another. I'm having a question, I'm having an answer. An answer, a question, answer. We're going this, back and forth. I'm feeling a little bit of the chayus and I feel a little bit of the exile. I feel this and go back. When I finally get to the peak of the Hagadah, when I'm grateful for everything, and like you say, take a little of 4 cups of wine can help in this mahalach. And that's why I dafka cups of wine and not cups of milk. Because when you come to the final madrega of the Seder, it's taka nirtza. Your shirt is a little bit red. If you're wearing a weiße tachrichim or whatever you're wearing, then it's definitely taka look like you're at the Malach HaMavis already caught up with you. And it's and the matzah is all over you. The whole table. I don't know. By some people they're makbid. If anything falls on the table, you keep it. So there's not. The floor looks like a chazashtal. And you came as a prince. You're a melech. He sat down by the seder with the golden zachen, and very shane and very nice, and all the kelim and noyim v'yofim, and that's like the seder. That's to be the most nice. And he come to the end of the seder. The person looks like he's haldalam, and he smells and he stinks a little bit chicker. And taka, that's the climax. That's the kavanah. The kavanah is to get to the point where you tell the Eibishter Nirtza, the Eibishter tells you Nirtza, you worked hard and you worded this thing, you had a question, you had an answer, and you go back and forth, and then you come to the level where it's Elam Achdus. Elam Achdus is no longer tension, there's no longer a shaila to get that answer, no longer golas to get the gula. You come to a place that is perfect. Everything's taka Nirtza. Everything's taka perfect. That's the gilui of Yiddish and Hebrew.
Because you believe that it's Nirtza.
Yeah, you have to believe that. If you don't believe it's Nirtza, you didn't do the avodah. You have to do the avodah of Nirtza. You have to say that I did Kaddish, and I did Orchas, I did all the Muhalchim, that I did every single Shlav, and Taka, when I reached Nirtza, the Eibish's Taka, it's saying no, that the Eibish's Taka Makabel, everything that I did, and it's Nirtza, and it's perfect, and it's whole, and it's exactly the way the Eibish wanted it to be right now, and I don't need anything in the world, And that's the highest peak that we have to reach, to go through the Shlavim, to go through all the different madregas of the Hagadah, to go through we talk about the Dalakoisi, is to think about if you want to make this the meditation or not, if you want to have a mechavan, whatever you want to do, to think about what are the golias, what are the things that are restricting me, that magid, that was a golas adibur, that the whole thing, the whole, according to the Zohar, Pasha Shmois and the Arizal, Shturms, and there's the whole idea of Mitzrayim is para, that it was perach, it's perach, that there was a pitoim, and a ramses, there was a pitoim, there was a closing of the speech, that there was no ability to express, to be magid, to express it. And part of the redemption, part of our own kula protis, is through speaking about it. Speaking about it is pasha to speak about it, not to yourself, to the Eibusher. To tell the Eibusher, this is the things that are holding me back, and this is the goals of the goof, and this is the goals of my nefesh, and this is the goals of my seichel, and this is the goals of my kol. And Eibusher, you're giving me tonight I'm reaching godless. Tonight I'm a kohen gadol. Tonight I'm sitting here in your palace, like a king, and you have to give me everything I need. And to speak it, to go through the process of the magid, to redeem it until we get to a place that's nitzah, and to think by every cost, before we drink the cost, what do we want to achieve with this cost? Not the cost. And even if you learn the Kisar Arizal and Mechal and all the Kavodah, think about in your life, in the Chayev HaPrati, what this means. What does it mean that there are certain golias are goof? What does it mean that there are certain golias of my nefesh? What does it mean that certain golias of my seichel? What is the certain golias of my kol, this apathy? I can't understand it. I can't feel it. I just don't have the energy to be there. And the Eibusher will give you all the brachas that we should mamash be matzliach, and we should reach back to Yiddish and Hebrew and Hebrew in this Seder night. This is Bekitza, the closing, and now some of the Chavim want some meditations. So we're going to try. We'll do something. We'll figure this out. Okay.
The Dalit, high.
Yeah, the Dalit
Dalit
the Yud, Dalit Avon, Dalit Shavon, yeah, 3 matzahs.
Are we starting right away with godless?
We have to talk. I don't have a mahalach. So what do we do with godless? You're Kohen Gadol, you're sitting there.
How would you explain godless Rishon and Shiny?
I think godless Rishon and Shiny actually is connected with this idea of which means how close are you? How godless means that you're.
How would you describe Rishon and Shiny?
So I would say Rishon is l'mashal. Rishon is like an intellectual understanding of what you have to do, where you have to be, what you have to achieve. An intellectual understanding. There's something about like your it makes sense, but it makes a lot of sense for me to be here and do this thing right now. It's clear to me this is what I have to do now, right? It's a seichelic understanding. I feel I can understand. I can give you the logic. Why it makes sense, and I have a hergish, sichli, why this makes sense that I have to be doing this thing. You follow?
Yeah.
That's a gadlus of moiched de'ema. Then there's a gadlus of moiched de'aba, which is it's like an intuition. Intuition means it's not just seichelic. You know, maybe
it's inexplainable.
It's inexplainable. It's exactly. I see it. It's clear to me in my inner vision that I have to be doing this right now in my life. I can't explain it. Maybe it's not even explainable. Maybe it's actually not even rational. If I try to explain it, it doesn't even make sense.
It's got the shining.
That's God the shining.
Why is this, and why is that?
Because that's one thing.
Intuition.
Why is this on shining?
Yeah.
Godless Rishon.
Why is the shining?
Everyone, you reach a higher level. So first you get godless Rishon. Godless Rishon means it's Rishon in your imagination should be shady. You understand? Rishon is the way we think
you
about
have to
it.
go down to the distinction, but jeder einzelne Madrage ist haben
Yeah, the 4 decades. Yeah, the 4 levels. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's very subtle. Of course. Then the different shemas. You have to do with the shemas. Because if you look at the Achdatam and the Lakim, the way that Arizal writes it, it's all about amunah. It's all about clarity. He talks. It's about bitachon. It's about a certain type of. You meet somebody that this person is so certain that this is exactly what this person should be doing. That I'm so certain this is what I should be doing with my life. It's clear to me Like it's clear to me that I look at my hand that this is the one I should be doing right now. Can everyone say this in the room? It's not. It's a big.
No, now that's baby called Albert.
No, but that's the Wort. That's the
Yeah,
oimik.
that's such a cat.
No, I thought the Mazda. No, that's not the Wort. I wrote about this. I think this is what it means. L'mashal, you can't tell a parent. A parent doesn't have to give themselves an explanation why they love their child. Why do you love your child? Oh, because they're very smart. It's so clear to you that you love your child because it's clear. It's my child. There's no seichel. This child, you understand? That's tzabah. That's what Alter Rebbe is saying. That it's in a way it's katnus. From the moichen level, it looks like katnus, but from the klorkite level, it's actually godless. It's absolute. That's what Alter Rebbe talks about. Is it's a tikkun for chet etzadas, because chet etzadas is separation. I'm aware. I would like to do this. Maybe, because it makes sense. You're following? But sometimes I know things that are so right for me to do that I don't have to make the cheshbon if it's right. I know I love my child without actually thinking if I love my child. If a person could say the same thing about the Eibishter, I know that I should be doing this. I know that I should be doing this mitzvah. That's the moichen of Abba. You understand? So it's the absence of seichel, but in a way it's actually more klar. It's more direct.
Pesach represents the clarity.
Yeah, that's what it is. Pesach is that we get that the Eibusha gave us the gilui of that madrega. It's godless rishon kodim before godless sheni.
Madrega of Nitzvah has to do something.
What? Amuna. Vada. Amuna.
Put on every day with the clarity.
What's that?
Every day, clear. Without any way.
No, but that could be mitzvah noshim l'mod. That's a different shot. It's not clarity. Clarity means you know when you're going to sit down on the chair, it's going to hold you up. You have a muna. When you put on a chair and you sit down, do you think 3 times that the chair is strong enough? You have a muna that the chair is going to hold you up. Why? Because 1,000 times it holds you up. That's a muna. That's klar. It's klar. There should be the same klar to you that this is the system. This is what's going to help you. That if I put on film, I'm going to have this connection. Not that, because this is what I'm doing every day.
So normally the cycle comes first, and then the clarity. And
no, usually the way it works is first is kappas, which means first you're working on thinking about it and developing this idea.
You have a million questions.
And a million questions, and there's a tinnig, and there's a shaila, and then finally you penetrate finally to some type of thing.
So
This Yitzias Mitzrayim is Allah Avodah Zarah. I'm taking these people and I'm boicher with them, and it's like an Uber Shelesoilet. That's it. L'mayla Matavadas. Boom. You follow? That's what the Arizal. That's the lashon of the Arizal. That's the godless rishons. And the different levels of godless is the types of clarity. And in Matan Torah, their Hagadah is godless shlishi. That's another diary. We have to talk about a shul. It's another diary, which is moichen de Kesser. But it's a different type of thing. But on Pesach night, we have godless rishon and godless sheni.
Madrega of Nitzvah has to do something with the number 15?
What's that?
The Madrega of Nitzvah has to do with something with the number 15?
It's like hay. It's like the hay.
the rishon is out.
Huh?
Rishon is out.
No, rishon is ima.
It's 5.
That comes first.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, you're just making a mistake with the rishon and sheni.
Rish in him and Rish in him.
That's something else. Yeah. But don't confuse it. Just saying, because you're thinking rishon is higher.
Right.
Rishon means first, not higher. That in English doesn't
So
count.
even Pesach, you start with him and then.
Yes. But you start with godless before godless. Okay. So we have to think about this in terms of the godless also. We can think about this, but this should be like a general kavanah. And godless also is a godless nafshi. What I mean is, like, sometimes we're stuck in all the small little things and narishkeit. That in Megivsa Chachap, if you give yourself, you think for a second, I'm a little bit higher from this problem. I'm actually, it's like sepasnish. This is not something that's worthy for me to ask these things. Marshall, in Chassidus Chabad, it gives a marshal when a person, Samach to Samach with our Shav also, it gives this marshal when a person is dancing by the chassid of his ben Yochid, and all of a sudden like a song that he dislikes, is a son of his, walks into the chasana, he's not really, he doesn't care. It's, at this point, this doesn't bother you, which means that in your place of your godless nafshi, all these small things don't matter. It's only because we don't live in that godless, that all these petty little narishkeit bothers us.
That's the same thing how Shtavos works.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but think about godless in terms of like the nefesh ha'olam, the person is actually a godel.
More
That a person-
emotionally charged in
Think about yourself as a there's a Chassam Sofer that writes in the drashas. He says that on Pesach, every house that the person makes a seder, also lovely, that house, just like it says that what you can see is what the drashas will be oil to Yerushalayim, that's the soul. It says the seder, the house that you make the seder will also be oil. And there's also interesting, the Marsha on Megillah, on this Gemara says that what Pshat about the Knesias become the oil that it means that the Bata Knesias will become part of the Beis HaMikdash. So if you take this by extension, what this means is that when you're sitting Pesach night by your Seder, you're Kikoyin Gadol. This is the Maral writes in the beginning of the Hagadah. You're Kikoyin Gadol. Your house is like the Beis HaMikdash. Imagine you're the Kohen Gadol and you're sitting in the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah. Are you going to be bothered with the Chaim Yankel or the Cholent? You don't Cholent Pesach. Your kids tipped over the mortar and the matzah. These are not going to bother you. You're in the Beis HaMikdash and you're in the Kohen Gadol. These things are not going to bother you. This is the Galus Nafshi. So I think maybe the Mahalach of this little meditation that we're going to do is not only Galus Mitzad Moichin of Eima, Moichin Ava of Clarkite, but also Galus Nafshi, that a person we should makir that on Pesach night we're shoyef all the Galus for the year. And it's really the Arizal writes that Pesach that Tishrei is the leader of the Guf, and Nisan is really the leader of the Neshama. That's the Brius on Neshama. That means that our Mocker, the Nisan Nivru, is that we're created in Nisan. We're Nisan Eden. We're Nisan people. We're real created from the place of godless. And the fact that we live in the Tisha reality, that's already Shana. That's very Pareg. Shalom writes that Shana is Gematria Pareg. Shana is already the old and the routine and the Chama. We're really Schachas. We're connected to the Levana. I'll talk about the Levana now, get like that. But we're connected to the Chodesh Zelechem. So we're going to try to do a little meditation, which I'm trying to figure out what exactly and how it should be. But it's all Zayin. We're going to try to imagine ourselves, Smallness, in the holiest place.
How do we, if I said a lot of the neshama, how do we connect? I mean, the connection between the guf, the neshama is expressing through the guf.
No, what I'm saying is like, how do you identify yourself?
Right. So how do you do that?
In other words, do I identify? That's what I said. The very simple example is every single person, whenever they're stuck in a small situation, a little cockness in their life, has a choice to ask themselves very quickly: is this my better self doing this thing?
So it's not really the lot of the neshama. It's the connection of the neshama and the guf.
Correct. I mean, but that what do you mean by neshama? It means that who am I? If I say the nisan nivru, that I'm inside the neshama, that I'm creating this, it means that my essence of who I am, my birthday is my neshama. Who am I really is that better person that when I'm dancing at my son's chasana, it doesn't bother me that someone stepped on my foot. And who am I really is that when it's in Kippur, middle of Ne'ilah, and someone is making noise, it doesn't bother me now. Because now I am my higher, best possible self. That's the godless. And we have to get a chaf. And whenever we're stuck, and wherever we're small, wherever we're goalless, and wherever we're in a place of constriction and mitzorim, the Taka gives us a chaf. You're much better than this. And these things are pastish. If it's lashon hara, the chilus, whatever you're involved in, whatever is bothering you, that is a pastish. This goes back to Avodas Tzadikim. So we're going to. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do this for a little quick meditation. If you can close your eyes for a moment. You just practice slowly breathing with Ashkata. Just your thoughts. Just quiet your mind. quiet place, if you can visualize and create an image. If you're walking down a pathway, it's very beautiful and serene and quiet. Birds chirping against beautiful trees. It's a beautiful weather outside. The sun is shining. You're in a very peaceful place, very calm. Nothing's bothering you or troubling you. You're walking very quietly and peacefully. Feel the sensations of the wind against your body, against your face, against your arms maybe. It's very peaceful. And as you're walking through this path, towards a door. It's a beautiful door, this beautiful garden, roaming hills, empty pasture. There's a desire to go towards that door, towards that direction. Yourself slowly moving up, getting closer and closer to the door, but it's very effortlessly, very easy. When you get to the door, you slowly open up the door. There's a gush, beautiful, brilliant light. Lights all over. Everything is so lichtig and so sparkling and transparent. You look to the right, to the left, and up and down and back. There's just lights. There's more shades of light. Different colors. And you recognize that you're in a place. It's very pure. There's nothing that bothers you now. There's no mitzvah, there's no constrictions. You feel very open. Shower, you're in a passageway that's connecting you to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Hashem's presence, Hashem is present there. You don't see anything, you feel that the Hashem is with you here. Biggest Hagadah as possible. Your heart is open. Your mind is clear. Your body is light. You're filled with gratitude. right arm. You see that your right arm is also light. It's lichtig. It's light flowing from your arms. It's a body of light. And so is your left arm. And any part of your body, you see that it's just shining, beautiful. Recognizing the level of neshama, which is the deepest truth of who you really are at every moment. Your neshama is a chelet of a cow. It's a part of Hashem, part of the Yitzhak, and lots of us. Your body is a little bush. It's a garment. This is covering over your soul, covering over your neshama. It's like a lampshade. It's covering over a lamp. And all you see is the light that's coming through the lamp. It's a very deep recognition and gratefulness. To recognize this is who we really are at every moment. We're all neshamas that have kufim. We're not a kuf that has a neshama. We're a light that has a vessel. We're a light that has a shade. And it's very clear to us that the intention of our neshama to come down below, to come down into this body, is to bring more light into this world. To make it the Abdachtoinen. To kalish things gechoisav. To Yiddish and Hebrew. We're just here to share Hashem's light. The Shvas Tzura. To be like the DovBer and be light, chayis, mashma, and shefa. And that's why this beautiful light, this beautiful order, enters into our body. This is who we really are. This is what we're really here for. We're in this perfect state. It's very clear to us. It's Behir Saseichel. It's very clear. And we're already out of Mitzrayim. And Yiddish and Hebrew is already in Geula. Because we see beyond those, beyond any restriction, any limitation. Once you fully absorb this, internalize this, slowly make your way back to the door, walking backwards. reverence and covet in honor to the space that you were just in, which felt like your bucket, your real source, you felt the true Kiras Hashem. Towards the door, you open the door. Leave that space. You're back into this beautiful garden. You're walking through the garden, you look at your body again, and your body is the same body that you normally have. Physical body, but everything seems much more easier, less tense, more open. Tahar, soyar, lichtig, transparent. All the tumor, stuma, tintu is lifted. You feel it. It's clear to you why you're here. What's the general Kabbalah? You gotta know why you're coming out to the school. It's comfortable for you. Gently open your eyes. Practice and call it.
Schkoich.